your interest?
Well, I've been conducting research since my master's degree at University of Toronto, which was since 1987. Well, I was doing a master's 86, in the late 80s. And I did a mixed method study for my master's thesis at the time. At U of T, everyone had to do a research project for their master's thesis. And I fell in love, when I was doing a mixed method, which is quantitative and qualitative, I fell in love with qualitative research. And as I finished my degree, I went off to Nepal to do a study on the meaning of being an elder in Nepal. And I worked in Kathmandu, volunteered for Mother Teresa and her sisters, the Sisters of Mercy. And I don't even remember how I connected with the School of Nursing in Kathmandu, but I did, and I was able to go into the mountains and talk to the elders there. And I then continued on that work. When I first was hired after my master's at U of T, I was a clinical nurse specialist with older adults in acute care, so different hospitals like St. Mike's and Sunnybrook. And so my mentors also in my master's program, Dr. Donna Wells, and then when I got to St. Mike's, Dr. Gail Mitchell and Dr. Burl Pilkington, who are both professors here. Gail is now retired. Wonderful mentors who conducted research in the hospitals, and it was just something we all did. And again, with the qualitative research, I love to better understand human experience, because I think when we do as nurses, we can offer even better care when we understand what people are experiencing. But even before that, when I was doing my undergrad at McMaster, I was a research assistant with Anne Mohide, one of my professors, and she, even though it was just sort of grunt work data collection, it really got me into understanding the importance of research in nursing.
So what are the major contributions you've provided to your area of interest, and how nursing has changed the way that your research area is understood?
Well, my program of research is really about how human beings live, transform, and grow with loss. So that includes persons and families living with dementia, and that also includes persons and families living with perinatal death, which sounds like a completely different area. Since I've been 19, I worked in a nursing home before I went to school at McMaster for my baccalaureate. And so I've been working with older adults, and I continue to, even when my shift in research about people living with and growing with loss occurred. And that was after my own child's death. I had a child who was born still in 2001. And I continue to work in my field, which is with persons and families who are older and who are living with dementia. But I also then branched out to do some other work with families whose babies died. Because again, I look at hidden losses. So a lot of times, or stigmatized losses. And when I say losses, I don't mean that there aren't lots of gain within those experiences and lots of growth. So that's my focus of transformation, that people talk to me about persons living with dementia and their family members, as well as persons who live with perinatal death. And you can see this painting. All my research also, since my PhD program, where I studied with Dr. Rosemary Rizzo-Parsi, I included the arts in my research. And so with her method, I brought in the whole, I brought in music, not as a form of expression. So I find that since that time, having people be able to express themselves through the arts or film, where I'm capturing my participants on film, and now I can make research-based documentaries, I find that has helped change or support people in practice in a way that hadn't been before. And it's not even just with nursing. I've been receiving feedback from, for instance, I produced a film. My other area of research is how healthcare professionals experience grieving and loss in their work. And so I have a film called Nurses Grieve Too, And last time I looked, there were over 17,000 hits. Now, it's not Justin Bieber, but it's more than probably people will read my article.
What advice would you give to nursing students who would like to get into research?
The advice that I give to nursing students to get into research is just volunteer right away, like I did when I was in my undergraduate program. I'm the Director of Academics and Philosophy at the Dotsabito Wellness Academy for persons living with dementia, and it's a research-based innovation unit for teaching and learning, where we see also the persons living with dementia as our teachers. And so I have had research volunteers from the research course here at York University. We have student volunteers that come, and we have community students that come. And so some of those students are requested to assist me with my research at the academy. So volunteer. If you can become a research associate, apply for research associate positions, because it helps you kind of get in the door of what that world's about. And I think the one thing that I wanted to say too was I believe nurses can make a difference that is transformative beyond their own practice in practice. But what I wanted to do was even extend that further through my research, because we're required to publish, present, and then for myself, with my colleagues, we create artistic pieces, whether it's through research-based dramas, research-based documentary film, or even art exhibits, which these were shown in different conferences, and I had an artist help create paintings based on the themes of our research when a baby dies.
So what opportunities are currently available in your programs of research, or other research opportunities for students who might be interested in research?
So at the Dotsabito Wellness Academy, for instance, we conducted a research study on what our community, meaning people with dementia and their family members, and the team members and the artists in the community, volunteer students, what is it like to experience the philosophy of relational caring, or a relational inquiry type philosophy in this setting. And so we came up with many, many different themes from this research. And so every month we use one of those core ideas from the research as a theme of the month that the that the artists and the team all come together to talk about with our persons living with dementia who are our academy members. And that's building new knowledge together. And about, let's say, for instance, one of the topics was attunement, how there's an attunement to the space. And we had gone into all sorts of conversations about attunement. And so I'm getting the students then to record some of these ideas that are coming forward that's building new knowledge about the meaning of attunement when you're in a space that focuses on relationships and caring. Also, the importance of mutual play or fun, or the collective experience of dancing and singing together, and so the students I'm getting to help me collect some of that additional data that's coming forward as we learn more about how important that is. I have students helping me with sometimes literature searches. I have students that I like to have them come to the academy because they're immersed then in a space where we're all, as I said, we're all teachers and learners and growing. And so there's opportunities. Right now I'm making another film, and so I need lots and lots of help with making sure we have consent forms signed. And so we do have students there at the moment, but just let me know if you are interested. So one of the things that I think is really important to me is that nursing research, and certainly for my own research, that it begins conversations. So last week I presented on our study about end-of-life care for persons living with dementia, and what it's like for nurses and other healthcare professionals at the front line to care for people at the end of life. And those conversations need to happen, and so I'm hoping that my research too with women and families whose babies died, there's a lot of stigma and there's a lot of silencing and fear around opening up to those conversations. So with my research, and also with persons living with dementia, and how oftentimes once they're diagnosed, they're no longer spoken to, because it's not believed possible. So I hope also that research will begin conversations on that it's always, always possible to connect with someone with dementia. And we're showing this in our research. And so that's where I think a big difference, that's where I think nursing research can make a big difference. And not all of the people I'm on multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary research teams as well, and I think we can also contribute that way a unique perspective on interdisciplinary teams. And so that's been very exciting, and I've been so fortunate to work with amazing colleagues on research teams. And one of the groups, we call ourselves Collective Disruption, and that's with we're trying to disrupt the ways persons with dementia are viewed with often only a tragedy discourse lens, and to change that to one of possibility. And we're not saying that there isn't suffering, but when we don't see the full picture and the opportunity that it's actually possible to thrive with dementia, then we're only seeing one side, and that can be very very challenging and difficult for people and families with dementia. So we're trying to show the possibilities. And again, I'm just hoping that the research I conduct myself and with my colleagues will open up conversations to help change practice in a way that's more meaningful for nurses, but also, and most importantly, for the people we care for.